Members of the jury.
Juries at the heart of the British legal system for centuries and woven into our culture.
You will hear how the prisoner, a young and, you may think, not unattractive man.
Just across the river from Parliament, yet another jury tale is being rehearsed for tonight's performance. But real juries are about to be drastically cut. The government wants to halve the number of jury trials. They say it's essential to cutting the backlog in cases, which means someone charged with an offence today may not reach trial until 2030.
When victims are left waiting for years, justice is effectively denied to them. And this is a betrayal of our legal heritage, and it's a betrayal of the victims themselves.
Under the plans, there'll be no jury trials in England and Wales for crimes that carry a likely sentence of under 3 years. A new tier of swift, judge-only courts would judge some sexual offence cases, grooming cases, burglary, and other offences where the likely sentence is up to 3 years. Magistrates' courts' sentencing powers would be increased from 1 year to 18 months custodial sentence. There'd be jury trials only for the most serious offences, including rape, murder, manslaughter and robbery. Officials think that could mean something like 7,500 fewer jury trials each year.
We will ensure cases are dealt with at the right level proportionate to their severity and deliver the swifter justice victims deserve.
The retired senior judge whose recommendations the government is broadly implementing says it's either this or the collapse of the justice system.
This platform is burning and it needs something very dramatic to happen. That's why more sitting days and more money and efficiency don't move the dial. We need to do something more radical.
These protesters wonder how their lives might have been different if they hadn't had a jury trial.
And Ian and Sid.
There's the boys up on the roof.
6 years ago, this trio joined in Extinction Rebellion protests across London with an attack on Shell's main office.
When do we want it?
No! Our intentions were always very, very clear. We were going to go and smash the windows of the Shell headquarters as peacefully as possible.
2 years later, a jury acquitted them of criminal damage, even though the judge told the jury they had no defence in law.
The judge that we had at the time, although fair in many ways, I mean, you could see it was already wrapped up in his head as a guilty verdict.
We did want to appeal to them, you know. We did need them. We recognised the need to reach them.
I don't know why they acquitted us. We could see tears in their eyes as some of them returned the verdict, and I think that was a very, very powerful moment for all of us.
A jury brings in the views of 12 people. And when you've got a judge who, and what's being suggested here is that it's only going to be one judge that will try people, what happens is they become case hardened. They start thinking everybody is guilty. They become cynical. And also judges, by all the research that's been done, are by and large from very similar backgrounds, have been trained in the same ways, they have the same mindset, they belong to the same clubs, they all sit around the same tables.
You will have to decide for yourselves.
But for some, the current number of jury trials is unsustainable, taking up more time and effort than a legal system long short of cash can cope with.
You know, people just have no sense. I was in courtroom last week, have no sense of how broken the system is. And this is, as I said, not an attack on democratic rights. It's damage control. It literally is damage control to stop systemic collapse. And that's where we're at right now.
Only 3 months in the job, David Lammy was so worried that this plan wouldn't turn things around sufficiently, he briefly pushed a plan that reined in jury trials even more.
It looked like the government was going to do something even more drastic than your reforms suggest. Did that alarm you?
Alarm is a difficult word. The proposals essentially follow the thrust of my recommendations.
They do now. It didn't sound like they did last week.
Well, whether they've had to or what they've done, not for me.
We assume they did that because they didn't think your reforms would actually get them from A to B, would actually get them to reducing the backlog sufficiently quickly.
Well, I think it's very difficult because I can't put a figure on how much time implementing these reforms will actually save.
The government says it hopes these reforms can begin to reduce the backlog by the end of the Parliament. It insists any concessions in Parliament could slow that process, but after recent months, it's braced for them.
Well, earlier I spoke to the Justice Minister, Sarah Sackman, and started by asking if British justice was at risk following these jury reforms.
We inherited a record backlog in our courts. Right now, the number starts at 80,000 cases and it's heading on an upward trajectory. Behind each and every one of those cases is an individual victim waiting for justice. If a victim of rape were to report her case today in London, she could be looking at a trial date in 2029, 2030. What that means is that in many cases, justice simply is not being served.
So justice delayed, maybe justice denied, but justice diluted through this new system may also be justice denied.
There'll be no dilution of justice in our system. What we are doing by making these sensible, pragmatic reforms which build on an independent evidence base is to say, for example, where a defendant at the moment can currently insist on the right to a jury trial, where, for example, he may have be accused of stealing a bottle of whiskey, he is in the same queue as the rape victim. And what we're doing by these reforms is ensuring that rather than have the defendant be able to insist on their choice, that it's a matter for the court to decide where is the most sensible and proportionate place for the case to be heard. And that, in doing so, this actually protects jury trial as a cornerstone of British justice.
For a much smaller number of cases, right? Because half of those jury trials will go under the new system.
For all indictable-only offences, the most serious offences, rape, manslaughter, murder, robbery, you will always have a jury trial.
The government said today, Lammy said today, the ambition is to see the backlog come down at the end of this Parliament. I mean, that's not very ambitious, is it? You're sacrificing one of the pillars of our justice system that regarded by, not just by us, but people around the world, as one of the key principles of our justice system, for a backlog that may come down at the end of this Parliament in 3 years' time.
I think it's important to bring back some of these figures, those 80,000 cases waiting to be heard, to a human level. I met with Katie, a victim of serious sexual violence, yesterday. She told me she waited 5 years for her case to come to trial. That's not justice being served at all. And so when we talk about the efforts that we've got to make, making record investment, not just in victim services, in legal aid, in sitting days, coupled with the systemic reform that Brian Levison has recommended to us, taken together, can bear down on the backlog so that we see it heading in the right direction, downwards, by the end of this Parliament.
So how will you get the extra number of magistrates that you need in order to hear those cases? How will you ensure that they're actually qualified?
We are going to be pushing, we are recruiting more and more from more diverse backgrounds. And in fact, I would say to your viewers, if you want to play a part in delivering local justice, then volunteer to be a magistrate. It's one of the finest ways that you can give back and deliver public service.
And isn't there just a temptation, in many cases, and there are quite a few examples out there, Extinction Rebellion being one of them, of cases just being thrown out? Let's just clear the backlog and get rid of stuff altogether.
Well, that's not justice served at all. Unlike the previous government, I'm not prepared to sit here as courts minister. I've been in the job for a year. What government does is it takes the tough decisions, come up with the solutions and deliver a plan to fix the problems that we inherited. And this is one such example.
I just wonder whether, if you leave it up to, individual judges or to magistrates, they would be quite as immune from political pressure as a jury trial might be. I mean, you remember the headlines in some of the newspapers, the judges are the enemies of the people. I mean, you're opening up people who can decide about someone's liberty or not to political pressure in a way that a jury trial does not allow you to.
I believe in the integrity, in the calibre and in the independence of our judiciary. 90% of all cases right now today are dealt with in the magistrates' court. You may believe it,
but where's the guarantee?
Well, I believe that our justices act without fear or favour, and they will continue to do so.
Sarah Sackman, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much.